Discover the hidden heartwarming trick to live peacefully, 5 life-changing Stoic lessons exposed. Emily stood at the diner, her apron wet from the spills of breakfast rush. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee hung in the air, threading through the sounds of clinking plates and lively chatter. At 32, she was the embodiment of resilience. Every smile masked the exhaustion that danced behind her eyes. As she wiped the counter, her 10-year-old son, Jake, burst through the door, his laughter ringing like music through the cafe. For a moment, all her worries melted away. Jake was the light in her life, a beacon she fought to protect amidst life's constant storms. Despite the cheerful hum of the diner, a heaviness lurked within her. She juggled 2 jobs, squeezing every hour from both the diner and that little retail shop down the street. Every minute was a battle against the weight of bills and the sting of insecurity. More than anything, she wanted to shield Jake from their struggles, to give him the childhood she never had, a childhood filled with laughter, warmth, and the magic of the annual community fair approaching just around the corner. The fair. It had always been a place of joy, and Emily envisioned Jake spinning on the merry-go-round, eyes wide with wonder as the lights twinkled against the night sky. But looming over this excitement was the shadow of her estranged father. His sudden return stirred emotions she thought she had buried. Memories flickered like a broken light bulb the nights he walked out, the burden her mom had to shoulder. Anger built a wall in her heart, yet a whisper of hope nudged her to reconsider as she prepared for the fair. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jake stood on stage during the talent show, starry-eyed and nervous. When he began to sing, the crowd fell silent, a surprising gift spilling from his little lips, weaving dreams into the fabric of the fair. Emily beamed, a soft warmth filling her chest as applause erupted around her. She glanced at her father, waiting for a glimmer of acknowledgement. Instead, his face was cloaked in confusion, jars of bitterness and pride clashing within him, but the joy was short-lived. A smooth-talking businessman mocked her struggles, belittling her dignity and the life she had built for Jake. Emily felt her heartbeat race. Anger surged in response, her voice slicing through the air. "You don't know our pain," she shouted, igniting whispers among the fairgoers. In that moment, her father's cold judgment cracked slightly as he saw the fierce mother standing her ground. The crowd, once silent, gasped, absorbed by the unfolding duel of raw emotion and pride. They stood amidst the flickering lights, hidden behind cotton candy clouds, as Emily faced the man who'd walked away long ago. With the smell of popcorn circling them, they were inches apart, 2 hearts on the brink of confrontation or perhaps reconciliation, yet the space between them pulsed with unresolved ties. Would her father challenge his own quiet shame, or leave her to navigate her storm alone? The question lingered, the evening filled with promise, but the weight of uncertainty hovered like the fireworks awaiting their cue. The crowd murmured, a mixture of shock and admiration swirling through them like the scent of warm funnel cakes. Emily stood firm, her heart pounding as she caught her father's gaze, searching for something, any sign that he might finally see her. Yet all she found was an emptiness that echoed the years of absence. "Emily?" His voice broke through the noise, hesitant, unfamiliar. She gritted her teeth. "You have no idea what we've been through." It was more than a defense, it was a plea, a challenge. Behind her determination lay years of hurt, the weight of single motherhood, and the relentless pursuit of a better life for Jake. I wanted to come back," her father stammered, his face a blend of remorse and pride. Emily's stomach churned. Did he really mean it? Did she dare to believe him after all these years? Jake stood at the edge of the stage, his innocent eyes flickering between the two of them, sensing the tension. He took a step forward, clutching his microphone like a lifeline. "Mom, everything is okay," he said, his voice cutting through the heaviness. His trust in her gave Emily strength, but the conflict within her only deepened. The fireworks broke the night sky open, colorful bursts splattering like paint across a dark canvas. Everyone's heads turned, eyes sparkling with wonder, but for Emily, the beauty felt distant, almost mocking. She could barely breathe, too lost in the swirling emotions that were more explosive than the fireworks above. Jake, she began but faltered. How could she explain? How could she let him down gently while wrestling with this unresolved anger? She glanced at her son, his face illuminated with awe, then back at her father. Both needed her in different ways. Enough! The businessman from earlier interrupted, stepping forward. This is a talent show, not a family reunion. His contempt struck like ice cutting through the warmth of the fair. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Before Emily could respond, her father spoke, louder than the fireworks. You don't know her story. His voice was steady, a protective embrace wrapped around them both. She has fought through the hardest battles, and she is making a life for that boy. A hush fell over the people gathered around. The air changed, electric with the anticipation of the moment. Emily felt a flicker of hope. Was this really happening? But it wasn't enough. The past loomed large, and the fear of letting down her defenses held her back. She shook her head. You left, Dad. I grew up without you. It's not easy, she said, her voice trembling. Then let me make it right, he replied, vulnerability cracking through his bravado. The fireworks blazed, yet all Emily could see was his tear-streaked face, the little girl inside her grappling with the longing for connection. A slight wind whipped through the fair, snagging the corner of her apron as if urging her to decide between holding on or letting go. Jake, sensing the shift, stepped closer to them both, with wide eyes that held the innocence of a child who had only known love and constancy. Can we be a family? His simple question silenced the crowd again, reaching hearts like arrows. Emily's breath hitched. Could she open that door? Could she welcome the potential for family after years of pain? Would her father's return be the start of healing or another heartbreak? The space between her and her father thrummed with possibility as the last of the fireworks faded against the night. The world around her dimmed, and in that moment, her thoughts collided with a truth she had hidden for so long. Maybe we can start with a conversation, she whispered, nerves tingling in a mix of dread and anticipation. But just as her father opened his mouth to speak, a sudden commotion erupted at the edge of the fair. The lights flickered, and screams pierced the air. What now? Would she be able to hold on to her fragile hope amid the chaos? The chaos crashed over them like the sound of a tidal wave. The laughter that had filled the fair moments before was drowned out by screams and startled voices. Emily's heart raced as she turned toward the source of the noise, her instincts telling her something was very wrong. The crowd began to jostle, tension crackling like static in the air. Her father instinctively moved closer, standing protectively over her and Jake. He looked around, bewildered, as if searching for an answer in the chaos. What just happened? He breathed, the color draining from his face. Mom! Jake's voice rose, a note of panic lacing his words. Emily felt his small hand grip her tightly. The world was spinning, and the safe bubble she had created with her father and son felt like it was about to burst through the crowd. She could make out shadows, figures darting past the brightly lit stalls. It was impossible to see clearly, but the sense of fear was palpable, spreading like wildfire. Emily felt her stomach twist into knots. We need to get out of here, she urged, her voice steady even as her pulse raced. She could feel Jake's warmth next to her but knew they couldn't linger in the uncertainty. As they turned to move, the businessman from earlier was now shouting angrily at someone, his features twisted in frustration. This is unacceptable. Get control of your fair. His voice cut through the noise, and the crowd began to react, some moving toward the exits, others curious to see what was happening, but Emily's focus was solely on getting her son to safety. This way! She called, pulling Jake along, her father close behind. They squeezed through clusters of people who were either frozen, watching, or actively running away. Emily's throat was dry, her breath quickening as she tried to keep her fear at bay. Suddenly, the lights went out completely, plunging the fairground into darkness. Gasps echoed all around, and in the pitch black, the world felt alien and threatening. Hold my hand. Emily instructed Jake, gripping his small palm tightly with one hand while reaching out to her father with the other. The frantic beeping of the fair's emergency alarms started in the distance, blending with the panicked murmurs of the crowd. Stay close. her father shouted, straining to keep them all together. Without the bright lights guiding them, Emily had to trust her instincts, pushing against the tide of frightened fairgoers. A flicker of light suddenly illuminated a figure stumbling to the ground, a woman, her blue dress crumpled, crying for help. Emily's heart ached at the sight. "We can't leave her," she said urgently, pulling against the current of fear that tried to draw them away. "What? Are you crazy?" her father gasped, pulling them back. "We need to get out. Just a second." Emily could hear the desperation in her own voice. She turned back toward the woman, letting her instincts guide her. "Stay here, Jake," she instructed, kneeling down quickly. "Mom," Jake protested, his voice trembling. "Trust me," she replied, her eyes locking onto the woman's. "I'm here." The flickering light grew brighter, illuminating the chaos around them. Emily's determination surged, pushing the other emotions to the back of her mind. "I won't leave you," she said to the woman, whose face was lit with fear. As Emily bent down, preparing to help, she caught sight of her father's worried face, the way his brow furrowed in concern. "Emily!" he cried out, but she was already moving, pulling the woman's arm around her shoulder. Just then, a loud crash rang out nearby, sending a new wave of terror through the crowd. Would they be able to escape this chaos together? Would the bonds they were trying to forge survive this new threat? Emily's heart raced as the loud crash echoed across the panic-stricken fairground, frightening cries merging into a symphony of terror. Dim light illuminated the scene, revealing disoriented faces and children clutching their parents, their eyes wide with fear. "Mom!" Jake's grip tightened, pulling her back towards him. "Stay close," she said, forcing her voice to remain calm despite the whirlwind of dread swirling inside her. She felt the woman's panic through the tension of her arm. "We're getting you out," Emily promised, her focus unwavering. Just as she began to pull the woman up, another crash sounded, closer this time. Emily felt the ground tremble beneath them, and the screams intensified. The crowd surged forward, panic feeding on every person's fear. In that overwhelming moment, Emily could almost taste the desperation in the air. "Emily! We have to go." Her father's authority broke through the chaos. "No, please. We can't leave her." Emily's voice rang out, flooded with compassion. The woman, now on her feet but shaky, looked into Emily's eyes. What about my daughter?" Her voice wavered, fear lacing her words. "Where is she?" Emily urged, glancing around. "We need to find her." "She's near, I know it." "No!" her father interjected, panic spilling into his tone. "We can't risk it. We need to move." But Jake's innocent voice cut through the fear, small yet steady. "I can help. I can look. I can do it, Mom." Emily's heart sank, knowing the danger that lurked. Yet a flicker of hope ignited within her. "Okay," she said softly, kneeling down to Jake's level. "But you stay with me, and look for someone in a blue dress, all right?" He nodded fiercely, determination etched on his young face. "Just a few steps," Emily reassured him. The crowd pressed around them like a living, breathing entity, and she could feel the weight of everyone's panic trying to swallow her whole. Time felt like a blur, her senses sharpened to the smallest details, the fabric of the woman's blue dress brushing against her arm, the urgent murmurs surrounding them, Jake's steady heartbeat in her grasp. "Let us go!" she yelled, her voice barely cutting through the chaos. The three of them stepped deeper into the writhing mass of people, pushing through with resolve. They moved as one, side by side, forming a fragile bubble of safety amid the intimidation of the dark. Emily's gaze darted around, searching for signs of the child. Moments felt like hours, yet she refused to lose faith. She caught glimpses of every blue piece of clothing that darted by her, her mind racing with hushed whispers of "Where are you?" Suddenly, a cry broke through the air, louder, sharper, filled with fear. "Mom!" A little girl's voice pierced the chaos like a beacon. Emily's instincts kicked in. "This way," she urged, tugging the woman along as they dashed through the crowd, adrenaline coursing through their veins. "Jake, stay right beside me," she called out. They rounded a stall overflowing with toys just as the silhouette of a small girl in a blue dress appeared at the edge of the crowd, glancing around with wide eyes. The brief moment felt electric as tears of relief flushed into Emily's chest at the sight. "Over there!" the woman cried, breaking into a sprint. Emily and Jake followed, pushing past panicked bodies until the woman scooped her daughter up into her arms, her joy breaking through the chaos. They were together again, but in that moment of chaos, such joy felt shadowed as the reality of their surroundings loomed. What lay ahead was still uncertain, and more loud crashes echoed through the fairgrounds, anxiety skyrocketing again. Would they find an escape? Would joy blossom amidst the surrounding fear, or would they unravel under the pressure? An anxious silence descended, leaving them breathless. Emily's breath caught as the girl in the blue dress melted away into her mother's embrace. The moment was beautiful, pure, but the fairground's treachery loomed like a dark cloud overhead. The ground shook again, a bone-rattling boom that sent the crowd into a fresh wave of panic. Anxiety clawed at her throat as she scanned for Jake. "Mom! I'm right here!" Jake's voice rang out, grounded yet terrified. Relief washed over her, but the safety of that comfort was fleeting. "We have to move," she shouted, urgency threading through her tone as she grabbed Jake's hand. "Stay close to me." Her father fell in step beside them, his expression fully etched in worry. The three of them formed a makeshift barrier against the chaos unfolding around them. Clattering rides, scattered papers, and overturned trash cans painted the picture of horror. Emily could hardly keep her focus on a single thought. They had to escape, but how? As they wove through the crowd, she noticed people starting to cling to one another, seeking solace in the faces of strangers. It was a strange sight, their shared fear forging connections where none existed moments before. Emily's heart swelled at the sight, an echo of humanity breaking through their shared dread. "Mom!" Jake's voice interrupted her thoughts again, more insistent this time. "What is it?" she replied, turning to see his face twisted in concern. "What about the lady and her daughter?" he asked, his innocence carving into the chaos. The question hung heavy. Emily's heart sank. In the rush of the moment, she had forgotten about the woman's desperate face as she dashed to the safety of her child. "You're right, Jake," Emily breathed out, tracing back the frantic path they took. "We can't leave anyone behind." With renewed purpose, they backtracked, dodging chaotic clusters of people, frantic parents with wild eyes searching for their little ones. Each face held a story, a sense of urgency that mingled with the thick air. Amidst this mounting tension, she caught a glimmer of blue fabric just a few steps ahead, a fleeting glimpse of the woman. "Over there!" she urged, her heart racing again as they rushed forward. The woman, still caught in the wilds of panic, searched the faces around her. "Emma!" she screamed, desperation layering her voice. When her eyes landed on Emily, desperation fell away almost instantaneously. "You found her!" she breathed, collapsing against Emily, the relief spilling from her like a wave. Emily nodded, sharing a brief moment of understanding. "Let us get out of here, together." With Jake still holding her hand on one side and this new companion on the other, they forged a path through the throngs of terror-stricken souls. The sudden unity felt like a lifeline, a flicker of hope against the madness. As they emerged from the suffocating crowd, Emily's chest tightened. They reached the exit, but a fresh wave of noise originated from the festival's main area. Another explosion, more screams. The fairground extended towards the horizon, tempting them with the bright lights of games and laughter, but that laughter was buried under layers of chaos. "Stay close to us," Emily urged her newfound friends. They stood, staring down the path before them, uncertain. But then another crash, this time sharper, like the world cracking under the weight of fear. Emily's heart thudded in her chest. "What if Mom?" Jake's voice broke through her thoughts again, steeped in alarm. "Wait! Look!" The woman's daughter, the little girl in the blue dress, pointed with wide eyes toward a cluster of lights. The edges of Emily's vision darkened, but she couldn't let fear take hold now. "What are you seeing?" the little girl gasped, her tiny finger trembling as she pointed again, her voice a beacon through the chaos. "The funhouse. We can hide there." "Hiding?" A chill ran down Emily's spine, remembering how sometimes facing fears head-on was the only way through. Could that be their path to safety? As they glanced back at the heaving crowd, Emily felt that familiar flicker of determination. "Okay," she said, her voice steady, "then we go to the funhouse, together." But as the four of them moved towards the bright facade, the fairground trembled once more under the weight of uncertain terror. The moment of truth was creeping closer, and Emily couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest choices were still ahead. What awaited them inside? With every step they took toward the funhouse, Emily felt the night air thickening, a palpable tension pressing against her chest. The once vibrant colors of the fair seemed to fade under the weight of impending dread. Flickering lights appeared almost mocking now, casting strange shadows that danced behind them, as if the fairground itself had come alive, urging them to turn back. "Go faster," she urged, squeezing Jake's hand tighter as they sprinted. Her heart raced with every echoing boom. The world around her became a blur of noise and frantic movement. "I want to go home," Jake whimpered, his small voice barely cutting through the chaos. Emily quickly knelt beside him, forcing him to meet her eyes, trying to quell the fear she felt mirrored in his expression. "I know, buddy. We'll get through this. Just stick with us, okay?" She tried to inject a sense of calmness into her voice, even while her own heart raced. She could see the apprehension etched in the woman's face too, uncertainty pooling in her eyes as they neared the funhouse entrance. As the four of them approached the creaky, warped entrance draped in swirling painting of clowns and twisted mirrors, dread knotted in her stomach. Was hiding the answer? Or simply another trap waiting to ensnare them? "Stay close." The little girl's voice broke through, brave against the chaos, and for a moment, Emily admired that fierce spark of innocence. They stepped inside, the air cool against their flushed cheeks. Inside, the funhouse was a maze of reflections. Mirrors distorted faces into grotesque versions of themselves. Every turn echoed with laughter that felt far removed from their turmoil, as if they were stepping into a different world. Emily's chest tightened again, a reminder of how laughter had once filled this place, now just a haunting ghost of joy. "Which way?" the woman asked, anxiety crackling in her tone. "Anywhere but back. We have to keep moving," Emily replied, pushing past twisted paths and scattered glass. She felt a surge of protectiveness wash over her as she kept Jake sheltered between her and their new companions. But the unexpected shadows here felt alive. As they maneuvered through the mirrors, Emily caught glimpses of figures, distorted, elongated shapes that seemed to watch them. Her skin prickled with unease. "Mom!" Jake pulled at her gently, his voice dropping. "Look at that!" In one mirror, a reflection showed not just them, but the shadows of what they had escaped. The echoes of the festival slipped in, flashes of panic mingling with their own uncertainty. It was as if the funhouse was a window to their fears. "Don't look, Jake. Stay focused on us," she commanded gently, guiding him past the nightmarish imagery. But just as they approached a dead end, another rumble shook the floor, more violent than before. "Why is this happening?" the woman whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. Emily felt the pull of despair threaten to engulf them all. "Together we can do this. We have to stick together," Emily said, her voice fighting a quiver. "Let us find a way out." But just then, the lights flickered ominously, throwing the room into half-darkness. A sudden drawing sensation urged them all to stillness. A deep, menacing laugh echoed around them, making the hairs on the back of her neck rise. "What was that?" Jake spoke shakily, clutching Emily's waist. The exit door started to close slowly, ominously. The path outside was disappearing. In that heartbeat of silent panic, she realized their choice was slipping away from them. "If we don't hurry, we'll be trapped." With resolve born from fear, they ran toward the only flickering light ahead. The echoes of laughter morphed into screams as they neared the exit. Would they make it through this nightmare together? As they charged forward, her mind raced with what lay ahead. What if? But she didn't finish the thought, not wanting to acknowledge the terror creeping in. "Don't stop!" the little girl shouted, her tiny legs pumping faster. What awaited them beyond this distorted reality? Would it lead back to safety, or deeper into the chaos that seemed to engulf the fair? As they were expelling the last of their energy, the exit loomed ever closer, but was it really freedom they sought, or perhaps an even bigger challenge outside? Just as they neared the threshold, they heard a strangled cry behind them. The sound of that strangled cry sent a sudden chill through Emily. She turned instinctively, and in that fraction of a second, the flickering light ahead felt like both a promise and a trap. Shadows twisted and elongated, stretching toward them like greedy hands. "Keep going!" Emily shouted, pulling Jake along, feeling the small weight of his trembling body against her side. The little girl and her mother were right behind them, fear propelling them forward like the wind. "Don't look back," she urged, even though every instinct screamed at her to see what was happening. But she had to protect him. She had to keep moving. The sounds behind them grew louder, panicked breaths, the shuffle of feet, and that faint echo of laughter, now tinged with desperation. It was as if the funhouse itself was alive, taunting them, refusing to let go. "Emily," Jake whimpered, tugging on her arm. His wide eyes shone bright with fear. "Just a little further, buddy. I promise." She felt her heart racing, threatening to burst from her chest. They were so close to the light now, and the exit loomed ahead, almost within reach, but then, the ground shook violently again. A distorted mirror shattered nearby, sending a small array of glass flying through the air like malevolent confetti. The crashing sound was followed by an eerie silence, the kind that seemed to draw fear in like a hungry vortex. "Mom!" "Help!" came the small girl's voice, making Emily's heart clench. She could hear the shift in the air, the way hope hung like a delicate thread that threatened to snap at any moment. "Stay here!" the woman shouted, breaking free from the group towards the sound of her daughter. "No!" Emily cried, feeling panic surging like an uncontrollable flood. "Stay together!" But in that instant, the woman sprinted toward the sound, her desperation transcending reason. The little girl shrieked again, and Emily felt her world tilt. "They couldn't get split up." "They couldn't, Jake," Emily said urgently, bending low to meet his frightened gaze. "We have to go. Now." "But," Mom, Jake began, but Emily took his hand firmly. "Trust me. I'll come back for them. We can't stay here." They turned and bolted for the light, the last slivers of their hope dangling ahead like a beacon promising salvation. Emily fueled her determination with every heartbeat. As she approached the threshold, she didn't let herself imagine what lay beyond, or whether they would ever return. The door was just ahead, but as they reached it, Emily felt the unmistakable heat of breath on her neck. Shadows deepened, swirling around them, like clammy fingers reaching to ensnare them. "Run!" she shouted, bursting through the doorway. But as she stumbled into the outside world, she realized something was wrong. They weren't back in the fairground. A thick mist enveloped them, swallowing the vibrant colors and sounds of the festival. The familiar laughter echoed faintly, distorted now, rendered almost ghostly. The exit had transported them somewhere else entirely. "Emily!" Jake's voice wavered, panic rising as he clutched her tightly. She scanned their surroundings, heart pounding like a drum. Strange shapes twisted in the fog, silhouettes of other people who looked just as lost as they were. "Where are we?" Jake whispered, looking around with wide, terrified eyes. Emily gripped his hand even tighter. She didn't know. Where had the funhouse taken them? And was anyone else coming back to find them? "Stick together, Jake." "No matter what," she breathed, wrestling against the fear swelling inside her. But deep down, she knew this was only the beginning. They had escaped one nightmare, but had they just stepped into another? The mist swirled around them, and the chilling laughter echoed once more, this time mingling with an unsettling silence that gripped her heart. Not again. As they stepped further into the unknown, Emily felt a sense of dread settle. What lay in store for them on this new journey? And what if the real darkness was yet to come? The mist thickened, wrapping around Emily and Jake like a heavy blanket. Each step felt treacherous, as if the ground beneath them could give way at any moment. Emily pulled Jake closer, trying to shield him from the chill that seeped into their bones. "Mom, I can't see anything," Jake whispered, his voice taut with worry. Just keep holding my hand, she reassured him, tightening her grip. The familiar thumb wrestling game that used to lighten their mood was nowhere to be found. Instead, every anxious heartbeat echoed in her ears, competing with the distant whispers that seemed to rise from the ground. Figures drifted aimlessly through the fog, blurry shapes that moved like shadows. Some stood still, their faces twisted into expressions of hopelessness or despair. Emily's heart sank. Were they like her? Had they faced the funhouse too? And were they waiting for someone to save them, just like she hoped to save those they had left behind? Look over there. Jake pointed, a tremor in his voice. In the distance, a flicker of something. Was it a light? Or just a trick of the mist? Emily peered into the haze, her heart skipping. Let us go investigate. Stay close. They ventured toward the flicker, each step a careful negotiation with fear. As they approached, the light grew brighter, pulsating like a heartbeat. The fog started to clear slightly, revealing an old-fashioned lamp, rusty and intricate. Beneath it, a small table stood, covered with something neatly packaged, small embroidered pouches scattered like gifts waiting to be opened. Jake's brow furrowed. What are those? Maybe something from this place, Emily replied, crouching down to inspect them. Each pouch had a different color: deep blues, vibrant yellows, soft browns. Curiosity tugged at her. She'd been through enough chaos already, maybe this was a chance to find something useful. As she reached out to pick one up, the laughter returned loud, chilling, echoing all around them. What is it doing? She murmured to herself, feeling the air grow thick again. But Jake tugged at her arm, his eyes wide with recognition. Mom! Look at the writing! Each pouch had a small, delicate tag hanging from it. Emily squinted to read them. Courage, hope, strength, and family. The weight of those words hit Emily hard. What can they do? Jake asked, a mix of wonder and fear in his tone. I don't know. But, maybe they're meant for us. Maybe we need them, Emily said, her voice shaking just slightly. Let us take them. Jake exclaimed, reaching for one, but Emily held him back. Wait, she said, scanning the fog again. The erratic laughter continued to bounce off the walls of her mind, threading through the thickening anxiety. We should take one pouch and see what happens. We can't take them all and risk getting trapped here. Makes sense, Jake replied, still gazing at the offerings as if they were precious commodities. Finally, Emily picked the pouch labeled Courage. It felt warm in her palm, pulsing as if alive. As they stood there, uncertainty brewed within them, thick as the mist shrouding their surroundings. Do we open it? Jake whispered, a nervous excitement stirring in his chest. I guess we have to. But we need to be careful, Emily replied, her heart racing with the prospect of what might come next. As she began to untie the small drawstring, the laughter swelled, growing into a raucous chorus, washing over them like a wave. With each inch the pouch loosened, Emily could feel a shift in the air, a violent tremor building just beyond the mist. But what if it brings danger too? Jake asked, the innocence in his gaze mixed with apprehension. Sometimes you have to risk it to find safety, Emily said, summoning every ounce of determination. We'll face whatever it holds together. Just before she fully opened the pouch, the ground shook violently beneath them, and the mist began to twist, spiraling in all directions. The moment of truth approached, and Emily could feel it in her bones. What would unfold from the mysterious pouch? Would it bring them the courage they so desperately needed, or something far worse? Emily held her breath, the drawstring slipping from her fingers as the pouch loosened. Suddenly, a blinding light burst forth, illuminating the mist around them like fireworks in the night sky. It felt as if the world was shaking apart, but the glow enveloped them, cocooning them in warmth and safety. Jake, she shouted, instinctively pulling him closer. The hooded shadows in the distance seemed to recoil from the light, their anguished expressions fading into the haze. As the brightness intensified, Emily squinted, trying to see what would emerge. A gentle breeze carried forth soft whispers, almost like sweet melodies, filling the air and easing the tight knot of worry in her chest. It was as if the mist itself was parting, revealing a tranquil landscape somewhere beyond the confusion. Look! Jake's eyes sparkled with a mix of excitement and awe. The pouches around them, now glowing softly, began to float upward, swaying gently like leaves in a warm gust of wind. Each one shimmered, radiating hues that mirrored their tags: vibrant blues for courage, golden yellows for hope, deep greens for strength, and warm browns for family. Emily found herself smiling, a calm settling within her. "We opened the pouch," she said, her voice a mixture of astonishment and wonder. Then, like an answer to an unasked question, the pouch began to pull at her heartstrings. Images surged through her mind, a montage of memories, both beautiful and painful: nights spent reading to Jake, the warmth of laughter during family dinners, the looks of determination as they navigated their hardships. "What is happening?" Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper. This is our shared courage. It's everything we've gone through together," Emily explained, feeling tears of gratitude prick at her eyes. "It's reminding us that we can handle whatever comes our way." Suddenly, a tremor surged underfoot again, but this time, it felt different. The ground seemed to vibrate with purpose. The shadows morphed into human forms, stepping out from the shrouded depths of the fog. They were familiar faces, lost loved ones and friends, drawn to them by the light. "Mom! Look!" Jake shouted, pointing to the figures stepping closer: their grandmother, an old friend, all smiling and beckoning them forward. Emily's heart raced as panic threatened to flood her again. Were they real? Or were they part of another trick? But the warmth of the pouch's glow was undeniable, wrapping around her and Jake like a protective embrace. "Stay close to me. Let us see what they want," she urged, taking a step forward. One figure stepped out: their grandmother, her smile radiant, a beacon of reassurance. "You've shown so much courage, my dear," she said, her voice soothing as if it melted away the tension in the air. "You must not fear what lies ahead. For every hardship you face, remember that love and strength are always with you." Tears streamed down Emily's cheeks, mixing joy with the bittersweet sting of longing. "I miss you," Jake cried, stepping forward into his grandmother's open arms. Emily watched, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. The shadows were no longer terrifying, they were a reminder of the life they had lived, and the threads of love that had woven them together. But just as quickly as their loved one stood there, the brightness dimmed again, drawing Emily and Jake back into the swirling mist. Their grandmother's face shimmered, slowly fading into the mystic fog as it pulled away. "What just happened?" Jake asked, breathless. I think they were guiding us. Reminding us that courage is more than facing fears, it's about carrying the warmth of our shared memories," Emily replied, her heart still racing. Before she could say another word, the ground shook once more, and the remaining pouches floated back down, scattering across the ground. "Do we take more?" Jake asked, glancing at the pouches. "We already have what we need," Emily said softly, clutching the courage pouch tightly in her hand. "But it feels like there's still more to this place. We need to discover what's next. Do you see that? There's more light ahead." With a sense of renewed determination, hand in hand, they stepped deeper into the mist, the faint voices of their loved ones echoing behind them, guiding them onward. Could they find even more strength in this unknown forest? Would the next discovery bring them closer to safety or lead them further into the heart of the mist? With each careful step deeper into the mist, Emily and Jake felt the weight of the world shift slightly. The warmth of the glowing pouch in her hand felt like a lifeline, pulsing with promise. The flickers of pale light ahead illuminated their path, breaking through the thick fog like the first rays of dawn. The shadows began to dissipate, retreating into the corners, whispering their last remnants of fear. "Mom, are we going to be okay?" Jake asked, his little voice steady, but a hint of uncertainty glimmered in his eyes, those beloved eyes that reminded her so much of the strength she carried within her. It was as if he was searching not just for reassurance, but also for a shared belief that everything would turn out all right. "Yes, baby. We're going to be just fine," she replied, her voice strong despite what lurked behind them. She took a deep breath, steadying her resolve. "We have courage now." As they ventured forward, beams of light began dancing around them, illuminating a clearing that opened up in front of them. The air felt lighter here, the worries of the past seemingly diminished under the grace of the soft golden glow. In the middle of the clearing stood an enormous tree, its trunk twisted yet majestic. It was ancient, and its branches stretched toward the heavens, adorned with beautiful leaves that shimmered like jewels, catching the light from a hidden sun. "Look at that!" Jake's eyes widened in awe, instantly captivated. The tree felt alive, as if it had its own heartbeat, resonating with their own. "This is amazing," Emily breathed, drawing closer. As they approached, something glimmered at the base. Small stones scattered around the tree's roots, each one inscribed with words of affirmation. Belief, joy, unity, resilience. "Do you see, Jake? Each stone has a word words we'll carry with us," Emily exclaimed, kneeling down. "They remind us of our journey. We've conquered darkness and found courage. Now, we can add these to our hearts, making them our anchors." "Can we take one?" he asked, eyes gleaming with excitement. "Let us take the belief stone," she proposed, picking it up and holding it gently in her palm. "It's a reminder that we are never alone. We can believe in ourselves and each other." Jake nodded, the weight of their circumstances momentarily lifting as he wrapped his fingers around the smooth stone. The significance danced in the air between them, an unspoken promise. Suddenly, the tree began to shimmer, its branches quivering as soft whispers enveloped them. "You have shown great bravery, and now you must share your light," a soothing voice echoed from the tree's heart. A light born of family and love, radiating strength in a world hungry for hope. Emily exchanged a glance with Jake, both their hearts swelling with recognition. They hadn't just faced their fears for themselves, they had become vessels of love, anchored in their bond as a family. "The mist, the chaos, it's all part of the journey, isn't it?" Emily realized, her spirit lifting in understanding. "To grow, we must confront the darkness together." With newfound resolve, they turned back to the path that had brought them here, their hearts now intertwined in a tapestry of courage. The clearing gradually dissolved into shimmering light, drawing them forward like a welcoming embrace. Behind them, Emily felt a presence, a shadow of something that had once been tumultuous, now serene. The fog had lifted, and those once haunting figures were now whispers of courage, memories urging them onward without fear. As they emerged from the clearing, Emily's heart raced for a moment, then she felt the warmth of joy surrounding them like an invisible cloak. They had faced the storm together, and it had stitched their hearts closer, irrevocably intertwined. "Together, we can face anything," she said, her voice steady. And so they moved forward, hand in hand, into the unfolding brilliance of the life awaiting them beyond the mist. With courage in their hearts and belief in their souls, Emily and Jake transversed the remnants of their past, stepping into a future bright with promise and love. "Let us go home," she whispered to Jake, who nodded, the light in his eyes brighter than ever. As the light enveloped them completely, a community of shared strength swirled around them, friends, memories, family, and hope. With the whispers of their journey echoing in their hearts, Emily and Jake stepped out into a new day, ready to embrace the world that awaited them. Before you go, this is your chance to show your support. You need to subscribe now to the channel. Don't miss out on more inspiring stories. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes a difference. Comment below with your feelings about this heartwarming transformation, and share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to experience this journey. This is the moment to be part of something bigger. Don't wait not even one more second.